Hi everyone, and welcome to the final lecture video of the entire semester. In this video, I want to discuss some of the challenges that are posed by evaluation research. There are various challenges to evaluation research, but one of the most significant, I think, is politics. Carol Weiss wrote a really interesting piece that talks about the intersection between evaluation research and politics. The author noted several reasons that evaluation research can be more challenging than assumed. First, the author highlights the point that programs and policies are often political creatures in some manner. They wrote, quote, "Attached to them are the reputations of legislative sponsors, the careers of administrators, the jobs of program staff, and the expectations of the clients," end quote. This interdependency creates a situation in which the evaluation researcher may find themselves subject to interference from legislatures, interest groups, workers' union, and the media, all of whom may have their own expectations and desires for the recommendation offered at the end of the evaluation. While it would be great to say that the evaluation researcher should ignore everybody and conduct a fully objective, unbiased study, that's a naive approach that ignores the reality of these demands. Administrators and program staff can interfere with the data collection process, and policymakers can withdraw funding or request new evaluation personnel. So they are relationships that the evaluation researcher must maintain in order to complete the study. Now, I am not saying that the evaluation researcher must lie or distort their findings in order to appease those with investment in the program. What I am saying, though, is that the evaluator should communicate with all of the stakeholders all along the way throughout the evaluation and carefully evaluate the delivery of their findings and their recommendations so as to impact the relationship as minimally as possible. When I was working on the step-down program in Nebraska, it was clear to us on the outside that this process was doomed. But I was communicating the issues that were occurring and how they were affecting my recommendations all along the way with the parole office administration officers, so they were aware of the issues that I had identified. I also carefully worded my reports. I didn't just outright say, they reported a participant to the police and no one trusts them anymore. Although that's basically what happened, right? Instead, I explained that the program had run into an unanticipated problem with criminal history disclosures and the actions taken, which included reporting the offense to state patrol and then eliminating the participant from the step-down program, and that likely deterred other participants from participating going forward. Then I suggested that future recruitment clarify these responses to these situations so that those entering into the program knew what they were getting into. Was any of this different than my short and sweet statement? Nope. But the way it was worded did not trigger the defensive response that would have arisen from the first wording. This, therefore, maintained my relationship with the agency while still maintaining my objectivity as an evaluation researcher. Another concern noted by the author was that the decision-making process of the policymakers was much more complicated than simple evaluation data. I would love to live in a world where we only use scientific evidence to determine public policy, but that's simply not reality. Policymakers must also contend with the media coverage, citizen perception, as well as the opinions within their own government party and those of the opponents. In today's world, the last thing a politician wants to be accused of is being soft on crime. So policymakers may recognize the validity of an evaluation research while still ignoring the appropriate evaluator recommendation. Evaluators need to understand that beyond the official goals of the program or the policy, the legislator may also receive political benefits from so-called symbolic policies. Instrumental policies are policies that are designed to create specific behavioral changes, like behavioral changes that will reduce crime. While instrumental policies are those typically targeted in an evaluation, policymakers may also receive benefits from symbolic policies that don't actually create any behavioral change, but that reassure citizens that something is being done. So an evaluator must be aware of what these symbolic policy potentials are in the project and to recognize that there may be benefits outside of those being measured that may impact the way that the evaluation is being used. Nothing illustrates the political influence of evaluation programs better than the Scared Straight programs. These programs, popularized in several TV shows and documentaries, take delinquent youth into the prison system for a day and then attempt to scare them straight. Kids that break down and cry, that's the sign that program's working, right? They will learn they hate prison, and then they're going to turn their life around to be better. It sounds great, right? Here's the problem with that. There have been numerous evaluation studies on scared straight programming. And not only does this type of programming fail to accomplish the desired goal of reducing a juvenile's risk of delinquency, in many studies, it actually enhances it. Highlighted here are findings from 2 meta-analysis studies. A meta-analysis is a strong research method in which the authors compile data from previously published studies and then conduct an overall analysis with all of the mixed data. So it gives it more validity than each individual study. The authors of both meta-analyses found that recidivism rates were actually higher on average for juveniles in a scared straight program. So juveniles who participated in a scared straight type program actually had a higher risk of offending again compared to juveniles who did not go through the program. The National Institute of Justice's practice profile for these type of programs notes that evaluation results suggest that not only are juvenile awareness programs ineffective at deterring youth from committing crime, but these programs increase the odds of youth exposed to them will then commit offenses in the future. These findings beg the question, why do we continue promoting scared straight programming? Public support. It is often very difficult to change someone's ingrained opinions using evaluation research. And something like scared straight sounds like it would work. So we assume it does. Ma and Pratt published an interesting content analysis in 2017, where they actually went through Netflix reviews for a Beyond Scared Straight television show to see how the community responded to those shows. They noted that some of the individuals talk about researching the effect of scared straight programs, but overwhelmingly, the response was super positive and very supportive for these type of programs. As you can see from these quotes that I've provided, the reviewers believed that the programming in itself reduced crime and thought it was an important way to change people's lives. The political benefit of this type of symbolic program outweighs the negative evaluation findings and thus makes eliminating scared straight programming more difficult. Hence, our continued use, although thank goodness reduced use, of a program that's been shown to be harmful to participants. As you can tell, politics and stakeholder buy-in are a significant challenge for evaluation research, particularly when the evaluators are finding results that are inconsistent with the desired goals of the program or policy. But politics isn't the only challenge. Confidentiality can also be an issue with evaluation research, even more so than with other forms. In evaluation research, you're often working with a specific institution to evaluate a specific program, and the program itself may not be that large. When I was working on the step-down evaluation, there were only 6 or 7 parole officers in the whole sex offender unit. So when I was reporting back quotes and examples of officer responses in my report, I had to be really careful because the sample was so small. I didn't want to accidentally out a parole officer whose views disagreed with that of the administrators or the program sponsors. So evaluation research that uses smaller samples or localized populations can find confidentiality to be more challenging and require more attention to detail in order to fully protect the participant's identity in all written documents. Another issue is researcher objectivity. This issue isn't specific to evaluation research. Remember that going native idea from the qualitative research lecture? This can happen in evaluation research as well. Just like policymakers and program administrators can become invested in the program's success, so too can the evaluation researcher. So it's important to evaluate your own behaviors, observations, and your own interactions during the research process to ensure that you are following as objective a method as possible. All right, well, that concludes our very last lecture of the semester. Thank you so much for all of your attention throughout the course, and I wish you the best of luck with the ending assignments. Thanks for watching, everyone.